Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Fireside Chat this evening. I hope you're all well, wherever you are in the world. Now, I just wanted to do a fireside chat in the light of the events that happened yesterday morning. And I know it was a very difficult sighting that we watched with Induna and the baby monkey. And what I wanted to do was just getting the feedback from everybody. Some people were unsure about how they could deal with what they saw, and it was quite a distressing and very intense sighting that we did share with you. And I know there were some people who were concerned, firstly for the fact that we showed the kill for so long, and for that I can't really say that we couldn't really do anything else. For me, for humans, it's very important to get closure, and for me, to get that closure we had to stay with Induna, and as long as he was there with us and he was still playing, then I actually felt that I wanted to see what happened. We wanted to see, and we were actually, I think most of us were willing on that baby monkey to get away from Induna. And it's certainly one of the few times that I've really felt that the prey item, is what you could call it, I really wanted it to get away. And that's one of the things, and I think that was why it was so difficult for us to really watch Induna. Being a cat, basically, if you really think about your pet cats at home, and I always use this analogy, pet cats are the epiphany of a leopard or a lion out here in the wild, and they will do exactly what your pet cat does, from grooming itself to licking the genitals, right through to mating and also hunting. And I think this is one thing we've really got to remember, is that the cats, domesticated cats, all cats from around the world, they will hunt, and they are a predator. And this is one of the things that we really do have to remember, is that they're not human. And I think that was one of the more difficult things to get our heads around. And I'm actually very, very glad that some of you who don't usually watch kills were able to watch with us. And I think it helps to really understand what is behind that behaviour. And as I say, one of the more difficult things was the fact it was a baby monkey. And we did hear the squealing to begin with, and we weren't too sure what it is. And we had seen him catch mongoose before. And when we've seen him catch mongoose, no one's really been too concerned. But I think the fact that it was a baby monkey, it resembles a human, it was a baby, and our instincts kick in. The fact that it is a baby and we want to protect it, and the fact that it's a monkey, even though they are removed, they have a tail, they are still a primate, and we do share an affinity with that. And I think that's one of the reasons why we really did feel for that monkey, and also it was very heart-wrenching to watch, because we have such an affinity. And I have written a blog about it, and in the blog I have stated, you know, if it was a rodent that he was catching, or maybe an impala or other antelope that we've been used to seeing leopards catch, it would still be very difficult to watch, but I don't think we would have felt as guilty maybe for watching it, or as heart-wrenched about watching it, because it's a normal prey item. And I think the fact that this was quite an abnormal prey item, and that's what we have to remember, it was still food for Induna. And we have to take the fact that he's not a human, he doesn't go through those emotions in the way that we do. He doesn't know, in human terms, right from wrong. Obviously, you can teach your pet cat or dog at home right from wrong for certain things, but he is a wild animal. And I wanted to really talk about it and try and share the behavior, and to try and give you some understanding about it, and possibly understanding of your own feelings of why you may be grieving more, or maybe wanting to understand a bit more. So if you do have questions, please send them through as we're sitting here and chatting about this, and I do feel it's a very important thing to try and help people understand. So if you would like to ask a question that I maybe not cover, then please send it through to finalcontrol@safari.tv, and I'll try and answer it to the best of my abilities. But as I say, I think the most important thing for me was there was just such a huge array of emotions, and to actually sit there and witness this, and we were probably about 10 meters away from him, and it really was heart-wrenching, and there were a few times where I was welling up, and that emotion was very raw. But it also was on the back of how exciting it was, the fact that we were seeing a behaviour that we see in domestic cats, but we don't always see in animals in the wild. It's a very rarely seen behaviour. It'll happen, and I don't know how often it will happen out in the wild, but to be able to see it was quite interesting, quite exciting at the same time as it being extremely painful to watch and very heart-wrenching. And as I say, we all were there willing this monkey on. But all through the time that we were watching, I was looking at this baby monkey, and I could not see a single scratch on it. I could not see a broken limb, and it's difficult to really comprehend exactly what Induna was doing with it, but it is such an important role in their life. He is a predator, and he needs to learn and hone those skills. And that is what play is all about, from antelope right through to predators. Play builds up the muscles, it builds up their muscle memory for certain things. You'll see a cat may even play, or a dog may even play with a cuddly toy that you may give it, and they actually bite the throat, and they'll use their claws and start scratching, and that's actually useful in hunting. That is what they do when they hunt. They go for the throat, and they may use the claws to scratch the belly to start opening the softer tissue inside. So all those behaviors are actually for hunting. If you play with a cat with a stick, the cat is watching that movement. If you have a little squeaky toy or a ball that makes a noise and you throw that to the cat, it's something that sounds interesting and the movement interests them, and that's exactly what was going on with this monkey. Every time it squeaked to try and call to its mother, Induna was then looking at it again, and he was patting it with his paw, and I'm sure you've seen it with your pet cat at home, patting an object of their interest to see what it's going to do. And that's exactly what he was doing. And when it did squeak, that immediately he was wanting the attention again, or he was looking at it very intently, and then he was moving it around. So that whole sequence that we were seeing was him pouncing on it as well, and again practicing his skills and honing those skills, and that is very important in predators. I doubt, as we see Karula and maybe even Mother Safari and other older leopards, as they get older, I doubt they would need to have this play time as much. And we see it in the pet cats at home again. As your pet cats go through their life, they don't want to play as much. They still play, but not as much as when they're kittens. And I think for leopards, as they get older, I would doubt that they really do play as much as what the younger leopards do. So it's a big learning curve for them. And Induna, if you remember, he's only just over 2 years old. He still needs to hone his techniques. And him pouncing and playing with the monkey was still doing that. But there was another angle to it which was greatly interesting to me, and it was only really when I started thinking about it. Induna kept looking up at the monkeys. Now at the time I thought it was because maybe they were annoying him, the sounds that they were making, and he was almost saying, "Oh, please be quiet." Maybe there was an element there that he was looking at those monkeys to try and entice them down, and maybe that's why he wasn't harming the baby. Maybe he was just using it to try and lever one of those adults to come down. It's difficult to say. This has never been documented as far as I know. I've not read anything anywhere. I'm still looking. Maybe someone can help me out with that. Maybe have a look for me and see if there's anything out there. But that's why this sighting is so special, because it's not seen very often, and even less seen with monkeys. And I do wonder, it's difficult to say, but I do wonder if he was trying to entice an adult down, as well as using the monkey for honing his skills. I think it may have been a combination, who knows. But all through that, as I say, I was so amazed at how gentle he was being. And just watching him, when he was using his paw, he couldn't see the claws, and he was almost scooping his paw up to lift the monkey up. So all through that, it was quite incredible to me. And after he did decide, and for a while I thought maybe if that monkey stays quiet, he'll lose interest and maybe walk away, as some cats actually do. And he was actually hidden just beneath a log, but unfortunately he wasn't hidden low enough, and I think he could have actually got himself underneath the log and stayed quiet. Maybe Induna would have walked away. And as I say, there were a few times he did jump and he did try and get away, and maybe if he'd have been a little bit stronger, maybe he would have made it. But Induna was just that little bit quicker and was able to catch him again. And I think at that stage, shock would have hit, and I think the monkey probably wouldn't have felt anything. I think the adrenaline would have rushed around his body. And again, it's difficult to really get your mind around it, but I really don't think it would have comprehended exactly what was going on. And that's as humans, we could see what was happening. We could actually follow what was going on, and we actually made our conclusions in our minds what was happening and what was going to be the end result. And again, I think that's what was quite sorrowful and heart-wrenching, is because we realised that this leopard was going to kill this monkey in the end. But there was always hope. There was always hope that it was going to get away. And as I say, for it being a baby and for it being filled with adrenaline, I really don't think that it really comprehended what was going on. And when Induna did finally decide to eat it, it was actually over very quickly. He just picked it up and gave it a bite, and the body actually went limp and he took it away. And that for me was very important, to see that closure, to either see the monkey get away or for Induna to walk away, or for it to end. And thankfully he did end it very swiftly, and as I say, I think he was very gentle at the way he did it, almost, if I dare say it, respectful maybe. But as I say, quite an interesting sighting, and one full of emotion, a whole roller coaster of emotion. And I think it was a lot of people were very shocked at the reaction that myself and Herman gave after the drive, and obviously going all through that, and you could clearly see I really wasn't enjoying that sighting, especially with it being a baby monkey. I am human after all, and I do see the human resemblance. And for me, it was about an hour after we got back from drive, and the adrenaline of seeing such an unusual behaviour and the excitement of that side of things really did kick in for myself and Herman, as I'm sure it did with a lot of you guys as well. And what you actually saw was I was laughing, and it was actually the shock of Craig coming around the corner. Humans deal with intense emotions in different ways, and one of them is to cry and one of them is to laugh. And even though I was not laughing at all at what happened to the monkey, it was the release, and I think that was actually what happened there. And the whole reason we were putting these behind the scenes in is to see bush life and to try and understand the way we are and who we are. And that was, in a way, a very raw human emotion that came out there. It wasn't joy at seeing the baby's demise, it was just the release of that intense emotion. And it would have come out one way or the other, and it was just at that split moment, and everything happened, and that's how it came out. And what we were trying to get over was the fact that we were so excited, firstly how we found Induna. So it was actually through the monkeys, and there was the whole excitement there. The monkeys are calling, there's a predator there, come on, let's go. And we actually did find him, and half of me thought, yes, there is something there, and half of me thought, well, it may have already gone. And the fact that Induna was still sitting there in the bush, it really filled us with excitement. And then I started comprehending what was going on. And it was that excitement and the fact that we could share this rarely seen behaviour with you really was why we were, almost, not, I can't say elated, but we were in that raw emotion, and the adrenaline had sank in, and everything else. And as I say, it was very honest and very open, and as I say, neither of us enjoyed seeing that baby's demise. It was the pure fact that it was a sighting that we could share with you, and that's what we were putting over. And that's why we didn't even think, when we put it on as a behind the scenes, we didn't even think it would be construed as laughing at that, because there's no way we would. But as I say, it was a raw emotion, and it was feelings, and as I say, there was a whole range of feelings there that came out, and hopefully it helps you to understand maybe some of your own feelings. And as I say, at the end of the day, he is a predator, and it was food, and there's no getting away from that. And hopefully it may help you guys to understand. And for me, it is important to bring every aspect of nature to you, from the births and from the highlights, the tender moments that the animals do share, right through to these more harsher moments of nature. And it is all in the package. We can't shy away from it. And as I say, the length, it was basically dictated by what was going on. I really wanted to get closure for everybody, and I think we did have that. And again, if you would like to read a bit more about it, I have written a blog. I didn't put any pictures on. There are pictures on the Facebook page. Herman is working on a diary if you would like to see that footage again, or experience it. then please do. But if you do have any questions, then maybe if there is any, we can send them through. But I know Joe was asking, was there a chance that the monkey was in pain? And I really don't believe there was. I really believe the adrenaline was pumping around that monkey's body, and I really don't think it comprehended what was going on. But while I'm waiting, if there is any other questions, then just to give you some update on Karula and some other things. Karula was last seen on Triple M, and she went into the west towards Zimbambili. And it's quite incredible for me again that lions seem to pop up where she's denning, where we keep finding her. She was spending a lot of time on Impala Plains, and she was been moving those cubs around, I think. And the fact that we ended up having the lions, they walked all the way from Gallego Shortcut onto Flimmer's Cut Line and ended up on Triple M. And later on that evening we left them just a little bit further north, and exactly the spot where we lost Karula was quite incredible. And I'm hoping she is laying low, and she is keeping those cubs nice and safe, as I'm sure she is. And just the pure fact that Karula's had 2 sets of cubs now, 2 litters, 2 girls, 2 boys, and they've all made it through to adulthood is really something very special, because as you see, it is quite an intense life out here in the bush, and the mortality rate can be extremely high in baby leopards and baby lions. So the fact that she's able to have had 4 cubs and all of them have made it this far is quite an accolade to her, and I am hoping that maybe those 2 cubs will also make it through to adulthood. So fingers crossed. And also on a different note, to everyone who did buy the calendars, thank you very much. We did sell about 192, and that's raised roughly around 4,000 rands. And I went to visit the school teacher, and she did say that she was interested in getting some netball equipment. And I didn't realise how big a sport the netball was out here. So she's asked for netball equipment, and if there's some money left over, then maybe some soccer equipment. And some people have asked if they can make donations, and I have found out from Pete it will be possible. So if anybody would, I'm not asking for any donations, but if people who've approached me, if you would like to, then I will release a blog on the details of where to send the money and what to write it under. But I'm going to be trying to buy that equipment very soon, so if you would like to make a donation, please do that fairly soon, and hopefully we can get a big lump sum so I can buy all the equipment. If it comes in after I've bought the equipment, then I'll leave it till the end of the year, so that maybe we can look at how much money has been raised again and maybe buy some more equipment. So that's how I'll work it. But I don't know if there is any more questions. But thank you very much to everybody who did post questions and who did join us for that sighting of Induna. And as I say, if you would like to read the blog, it is out, and we'll post it on the Safari Channel page. And I do understand from other people's point of view that you don't always want to see a kill, and it's not something that everybody wants to watch or wants to see, and I do appreciate that too. And as I say, it is up to you if you do want to watch it, and it is one of those things that it just throws out so many emotions. So I really do appreciate everybody's thoughts and aspects and questioning on it as well. And I think that's part of being human. It is questioning, and hopefully I have helped and maybe given an insight into what we saw and why you saw our reactions and why they may have been different to those on camera. And as I say, I'm one of those people that can't hide emotions. My heart is very much worn on my sleeve, and it doesn't mean to say that I feel any less for that monkey, same as Herman, but there was very raw human emotions coming through at every stage of that. And I'm actually very glad that we could share those raw emotions with you, both on screen and off screen. And hopefully that will help with you understanding that. And thank you very much to everybody for all those comments. And I really hope that you'll be able to join us again tomorrow morning for our morning safari, and hopefully we'll be out and about, and you never know, we might be lucky enough to bump into Karula and her cubs. And as I say, I do appreciate all your comments there, and as I say, I have taken on board the comments from everybody, so do be aware of that. But thank you very much for joining me. If there's no questions, then hopefully I have covered maybe some of the feelings that people were experiencing and some of the questions that you were maybe asking yourselves, and hopefully this has helped you to have a better understanding. I know there were some people who were saying that they weren't sure how to react to it or how to understand it, so I do hope that I've given a bit of an insight into that. So thank you very much for joining me this evening, and hopefully you can join us again soon for our next safari here on Wild Earth. But for myself and the rest of the crew, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Goodbye.